Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder from wherever you are today. My name is Jennifer Skingielewski and I will be the worship leader for today's service. We welcome all here at UUCB and are so pleased to have you join us. If you are a new visitor, please email our office manager, Amy Zen, and let us know how you found us. You will find her email in the Zoom chat. Our church website has a great deal of information about the church and its activities. Be sure to check out our Touchpoint blog on the website as well. This morning, we have a special announcement about our ministerial search from Committee Chair Kathy Edwards. Kathy?
Unmuting myself here. So let me start again. Greetings from your Ministerial Search Committee. We are working through the process to identify UUCB's next full-time settled minister. An important element of the search process is understanding what the congregation values for this role. This fall, we are gathering your input in writing and through conversations. First, thank you to everyone who responded to the congregational survey. We've published a link to the results in UUCB's e-bulletins and on the ministerial search page of the UUCB website. Now we're holding numerous small group discussions called cottage meetings, facilitated by search committee members. These conversations enhance the insights we gathered during the survey and provide a different opportunity for everyone to contribute to the search. Participants can share their needs, wants, and hopes for a new settled minister. Open discussion provides an opportunity for people to hear and build on what others say.
It seems like we're having some technical difficulties this morning. Jennifer, do you want to continue or see what's happening with her connection? Thanks.
We can pass back to me. And if Kathy's service starts back up, we will go back to her to finish her presentation. Following the service, we will offer the opportunity to gather in smaller groups, an approximation of our traditional coffee and fellowship time. If you are one of the newish attendees at our service today, I hope you will find the virtual greeters table where you can learn more about our church. Now, please ensure your microphones remain muted and join us for worship.
As we set our hearts and minds on worship, hear these words attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, who reminds us that, quote, "Where hate rules, let us bring love. Where sorrow, joy. Let us strive more to comfort others than to be comforted, to understand others than to be understood, to love others more than to be loved. For it is in the giving that we receive and in the pardoning that we are pardoned." Unquote. May it be so.
you have a personal chalice or candle near your computer, please get ready to light it. We invite you to type into the chat box where your chalice is lit, the street or neighborhood, or what city if you're joining us from outside Boulder County. We wanted to do something a little different for the chalice lighting this week. So instead of asking someone from our congregation to come talk about how they're getting through the election season, we'll let UU the Vote do the talking. UU the Vote is a nonpartisan program of the UUA. The group's website describes their focus as finding concrete ways to help congregations engage with their friends, neighbors, and communities during the electoral cycle. The goal of the participating congregations is to get through the election season by taking action. As Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, the current president of the UUA, said about participating in the election process, for Unitarian Universalists, this is a faithful, moral action because democracy and the right of all people to have a voice and a vote are at the very heart of our 7 principles. This work is about the inherent worth and dignity of every person. It is about restoring right relationship with the planet. It is about our commitment to justice and equity for all people. And now, please enjoy this inspiring video created for a UU the Vote event earlier this year.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time. To tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the
I light this chalice today in hopes that people across the country will be moved to, as UU the Vote says, #VoteLove. We now invite all gathered in our various locations to join together in fellowship and community as we say aloud our congregation's covenant. The words are on your online order of service and on the screen. We gather
in fellowship
to speak
truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other,
and to
seek the truth divine. So be it.
In this deep connection with all of life, let us tune into our own joys and concerns. What is on your mind and in your heart today? In the quiet of your own thoughts, lift up all that weighs on you, the anxieties and frustrations, the grief and worry and pain. Whatever it is, let us hold this and each other in silence. Now let us also turn our minds and hearts to those we love, holding them with love, acknowledging their painful challenges and sufferings. There is much on the hearts and minds of this community today, swirling in the smoky air above Boulder, fear of elections and fires. Whatever is on your heart, I invite you now to share your concerns in the chat box, and I will name a few of them. But please share within our community what is on your heart. I know there's a lot of concern for the Calwood fires and those already under evacuation orders or worried they will be soon. We'll continue to monitor this as a congregation and understand how we can support you. Prayers on another anniversary of Yoshi's death for those who loved and will miss Yoshi. All those fighting the fires, all the first responders out there, Andrew Churnside among them. Concern for those still battling the coronavirus and those worried about a future battle. Those surging numbers have us all concerned indeed. I lift up all we are holding, and I know you are all sending your love to those who are sharing. Please continue posting if you wish. We offer love and witness to all of you in pain, overcome with anxiety. I hold you in my heart. I also invite you not to bring to mind, but to bring right into your heart the things for which you are grateful for and bring you joy. We must touch those as much as ever right now. Let us just hold in silence our joys first. And I invite you also to share your joys and celebrations in your chat box now so that we can all share in that with you. Yes, for the children, the grandchildren that keep coming, warming our hearts. For rain, for all those working to get out the vote, for all those who have already cast ballots and will soon. Grateful for friends and family near and far. Oh, for Mom. I hear you, Elise. I hear you. Oh, the meditation group with Reverend Dana has been such a wonderful space for many. For Mommy and Daddy, from Marie. Thank you for that, Marie. Keep it coming, everyone. We need to read these joys and let those smiles spread across our face. For all being sustained by this community, for all these blessings and all these concerns, as well as those that remain silently on our hearts, we hold this compassionate space with love. Thank you for all the ways that you continue to bless each other. May it be so.
Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. David W. Augsburger, from his book, Caring Enough to Hear and Be Heard.
Growing up in my household, there was no more foul, vulgar, and disgusting curse word than the name Ronald Reagan. I was born in 1976 and was just starting to pay attention to the world in the early 1980s as Reagan successfully campaigned to become president. And while I didn't understand politics or power yet, I could tell that my parents strongly believed this was a very bad thing. While my father let slip with an occasional curse word, nothing got their blood boiling like the mentioning of this man's name. He was at the end of every bad story I heard, synonymous with the boogeyman and the devil. I didn't know much about the world, but I knew my parents believed that much of what was wrong with it was his fault. Fast forward to a fall evening in 1986. My mom's watching this, and I know she's cringing somewhere as I tell this story. I was now 10 years old and 6 years into the inoculation against the evil of Ronald Reagan. On this particular night, after finishing our dinner at the restaurant our families had gone out to, me and my friend Ben were wandering around the parking lot outside when suddenly we saw it, a bright red Ronald Reagan bumper sticker on a car. We were shocked. Not only were both Ben and I from a very liberal family, our town was known as one of the most liberal towns in the ultra-liberal state of Massachusetts. There simply weren't many Ronald Reagan bumper stickers around. And we knew what it meant. It meant that the owner of that car was a bad person. So we did what we knew we should do. We took a pen and we scraped and scratched that bumper sticker off the car. And we didn't stop there. After finishing the task, we triumphantly marched back into the restaurant and told our parents what we had done. Sure, they would heap praise on us for this heroic accomplishment. Our story, however, was met with horror from our parents. How could we? What were we thinking? The next thing we knew, our parents were quieting the restaurant so we could tell everyone what we had done and apologize to the owners of the car and figure out how to make it right. It was obviously the correct response from my parents. But looking back on this as a parent now myself, living through a dreadful and polarizing election season, I realized that our actions were the inevitable result of what we had been hearing in our own homes for years. Our kids learn a lot from us, and it is usually not the things we think we are trying to teach them. In this case, because of the manner in which my parents vocalized their very real fear of what the policies of Ronald Reagan were doing to our country, while they had never meant to teach me to hate him or anyone else, that was the actual residue of their energy. Not to educate me about the whys and what fors, but to make me hate people enough to feel that defacing their private property was the right thing to do. Of course they hadn't meant to, but nonetheless they had. Anger at policy became hate for a person. And I think there's a really important lesson in this for all of us right now in this election season, because we need to navigate it without becoming the thing that we believe we are standing in opposition to, or else all hope for us and our democratic experiment truly is lost. The first thing I feel I need to say this morning about this is that not all people are worth talking politics with. So let's just start there. Because the truth is that these conversations can take a real toll on our emotions and psyches, especially when they are with people we are invested in loving, but with whom we deeply disagree. In some cases, and I hate to say it, but in some cases, the best way to survive this time is simply to build healthy boundaries with problematic people. If it makes you feel demeaned as a human to talk to someone about their beliefs, I strongly recommend you do everything you can to avoid them, or at least talking politics with them at all in the next few weeks. Self-care is never the wrong move. You don't owe it to anyone to stay in a conversation with them if it is harmful to you. I say this because it can be a real stumbling block for liberals and progressives who at times feel they do owe it to others to talk to them, even when it is personally harmful. Our denomination even celebrates this kind of behavior with a hymn entitled, "The Ocean Refuses No River." I may ask the writer of that hymn how that has served the heavily polluted ocean. Some rivers should be refused. But that very important caveat aside, there are still people that are working their way through the issues of this election and can be talked to. In fact, need to be talked to, or maybe even more, need just to be heard by someone like you, if you can just do it right. And I know that's hard. So what does it look like? How do we hear people who we disagree so strongly with? While I was searching around for an answer to that question last election cycle, I ran into this amazing project called the Urban Confessional, which describes itself as a free listening project. Its sole purpose is convincing people to write "free listening" on a piece of cardboard and then stand on a corner in public and silently witness to whatever is shared with them. I found my way to this unique and timely project through an essay one of its members, Benjamin Mathis, wrote about going to the Republican National Convention in 2016 with just such a sign. Entitled, "How to Listen When You Disagree," it answers my question head on, so allow me to quote at length. Quote, "If there's one question I get asked more than any other question, it's this. How do I listen to someone when I disagree with them? There are many ways to answer this. It takes a lot of forgiveness, compassion, patience, and courage to listen in the face of disagreement. I could write pages on each of these principles, but let's start with the one thing that makes forgiveness, compassion, patience, and courage possible. We must work to hear the person, not just the opinion. My friend Agape says it like this: hear the biography, not the ideology. Hear the biography and not the ideology. When someone has a point of view we find difficult to understand, disagreeable, or even offensive, we must look to the set of circumstances that person has experienced that resulted in that point of view. Get their story, their biography, and you'll open up the real possibility of an understanding that transcends disagreement. Like the roots of a tree, our stories, which can create our beliefs, are completely unique and also connected. It is through story that we can find common ground enough to coexist in the face of great, often necessary tension. When you find yourself in disagreement, just ask one question. Will you tell me your story? I'd love to know how you came to this point of view. Unquote. When I read these words, their truth was self-evident to me. Because of this 24/7 news cycle that lives on polarization and exacerbated to a great degree by the echo chamber of our bubbled social media experiences, and to an increasing degree, real life cultural segregation, we have fallen into the trap of seeing people as a set of issues rather than a set of experiences. We see the outward expression of what is a deep inner pain, and we react to the surface stuff instead of the human being that lives underneath. But the truth is that no one accidentally believes the things they do. To the contrary, there is always a very good reason they believe what they do. It might not sound very good to you, though, because it rarely has to do with reason, but rather with unique biography. They arrive at these conclusions out of flesh and blood experience, as well as being shaped by the influence of their family, class, religion, race, sexual identity, geographical place of birth, and more. And until we move to seeing all of that, instead of merely a person's political affiliation, we will never be able to talk to each other enough to even understand where the other is coming from. About a decade ago, I was able to see this dynamic play out right before my eyes. It was 2009, and the battle for marriage equality at the state level was raging. My wife, the Reverend Nicole LaMarche, was the liberal faith voice on a panel on a Larry King Live show about marriage equality. And you know how these shows are. Again, they live off of polarization. So the other panelist was Maggie Gallagher, the founder and president at the time of the National Organization for Marriage, one of the main conservative faith groups working against marriage equality. And the host that night, Joy Behar, did her very best to keep the televised conversation between the three of them at a divisive level. But then, suddenly it was over. The show moved on to its next topic. They were shuffled off the stage, and it was just Nicole, myself, and Maggie in the green room, and the larger show went on, as they say. And after a few awkward moments of silence, my wife said something to Maggie along the lines of, "What's your story? Where is this all coming from?" And in a response that was far from the angry force of nature we had just seen during the televised encounter, Miss Gallagher calmly told us her story, and we silently listened. Her story is now public, so I'm not reporting anything confidential. But what she told us that evening was that when she was young, she had a child out of wedlock, and that the father abandoned her and the newborn. She struggled with the decision of whether or not to keep the child or if it would be better to put it up for adoption, but ultimately chose to be a single mom. Basically, as she told us, due to the resentment she felt about the child's father leaving her to raise the child alone, mixed with some bad theology she had received from her Catholic upbringing, she became convinced of the importance of having both parents involved, and in her words, that strictly meant a mommy and a daddy. What I remember more than anything from the encounter is the way she kept saying that everyone, quote, deserved to have a mommy and a daddy, unquote, over and over again. After hearing her tell her story for just a few minutes, it became obvious that this was what it was really all about for her. Her kid not having a mommy and a daddy in the way that she had imagined. Not same-sex marriage at all. Her deep inner pain was coming out as this misguided fight for policy. And while, of course, our opinions didn't change that evening, it was incredible how different the entire encounter went in the green room as compared to moments earlier on TV, when we shifted to our stories and away from intentionally divisive opinions and issues. I immediately saw Maggie as a deeply wounded human being, rather than as a representative of bad policy, and my compassion grew for her immensely. That was all it took. Just that one magic question. Will you tell me your story? I'd love to know how you came to this point of view. And it shook my wife and Miss Gallagher and myself right out of that conflict zone the show had so perfectly placed us in. It tore everyone out of their televised, prescribed roles of representing an issue and forced us to see each other again as people, as a set of lived experiences, rather than as some narrowly drawn prison of ideology. And if we are going to survive this election season with our relationships and our integrity intact, we're all going to have to lean into this same behavior. We are all going to have to try and slow down when we're getting worked up in a conversation with someone about politics, and remember that we are speaking to a person, not a set of issues. We are all going to have to work hard to remember to look for the story behind the issue. And if we can do that, we just might have a chance. I believe in us. May it be so. Ashe.
During the month of October, we share our plate with CIRC, the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition, a statewide membership-based coalition of immigrant, faith, labor, youth, community, business, and ally organizations founded in 2002 to improve the lives of immigrants and refugees by making Colorado a more welcoming, immigrant-friendly state. Wendy's family moved from Jalisco, Mexico to Colorado when she was 3 years old. She grew up in a small town in southeastern Colorado, but went to college in Denver, where she started studying nutrition and working on campus at the Gender Institute for Teaching and Advocacy. Through this job, she discovered a strong passion for advocacy work, which inspired her to create an individualized degree program in health advocacy, fusing her interest in nutrition with her dedication to social justice. My ultimate goal down the line is to get a position of power, not to boss people around or be the main top dog, but to be able to implement some new policies or programs that will help underrepresented populations, including the LGBTQ community, including immigrants, of course, including the homeless, and anybody that needs help. Because healthcare is so important, you can't work and you can't do a lot of things without healthcare assistance, and that's not available to everybody. Wendy successfully graduated from college and is now enrolled in a health administration master's program, but it hasn't been easy. Ever since I started college in 2015, she explains, I've been needing to work 2 to 3 jobs to sustain my tuition and the cost of living in Denver, including paying high fees every 2 years to renew my DACA status. It's a catch-22. I can't go to work and I can't go to school unless I go to work, and I can't get the grades I want with all this work. That's where CIRC comes in. In addition to our legal services team helping first-time DACA applicants and renewers put together their applications, our DACA scholarships let us cover the steep renewal fees for young people like Wendy. Thanks to the contributors that help us sustain the DACA scholarship, we were able to lift some of that financial burden for Wendy so she could put more focus on her studies. You can make a donation now to benefit both the church and CIRC using the link posted in our chat or by sending a check to UUCB. Please be as generous as you can. We will now receive the offering. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community. And now, before we move on to our closing words, I would like to invite Kathy Edwards to finish her presentation from earlier in the service. Kathy?
Thank you very much. Let's try this again. The Ministerial Search Committee is facilitating numerous small group discussions called cottage meetings. These conversations enhance the insights we gathered during the congregational survey and provide a different opportunity for everyone to contribute to the search. Participants can share their needs, wants, and hopes for a new settled minister. Open discussion provides an opportunity for people to hear and build on what others say. We've already held 3 cottage meetings, each about 1 hour long, with quite a few more scheduled with existing groups in the congregation over the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you are not scheduled or cannot participate then, please join an open enrollment session this Wednesday evening, the 21st, next Sunday afternoon, the 25th, or Tuesday evening, the 28th. The enrollment link is in UUCB's e-bulletins and the ministerial search page on UUCB's website. And to conclude this invitation, on October 31st, we will offer a UUA facilitated program called Beyond Categorical Thinking. This is designed to promote inclusive thinking and prevent unfair discrimination during a congregation's search. The 90-minute online workshop will be held twice on Saturday the 31st, and we'll get the times and enrollment publicized this week. Thank you everyone for engaging with us in the ministerial search.
As we prepare our hearts and minds to return to the world, I invite you to hear these words of urban confessionalist and professional listener Ben Mathis, who reminds us to, quote, dare to listen, dare to be quiet, dare to seek understanding. In the end, it's the people we need to love, not their opinions, unquote. May we dare, and may we vote. May it be so. Ashe.
Go your way in peace. Wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take. May love guide you on your way. Go your way in peace. Take, may love guide you on your way.
Now, we invite you to stay with us in our Zoom rooms for a time of online fellowship and discussion. I believe that Barb and Fred are here to tell us how this will work today. Barb and Fred, are you there?
We are.
Excellent.